So good morning. We have with us Dr. Deepa Nair and Mrs. Mondrita Sengupta. Dr. Deepa Nair is a professor, head and neck surgical oncology. She is working at Tata Memorial Hospital, Mumbai. Since 11 years, she has been consultant in Tata Memorial Hospital. And is Mondrita Sengupta. I know her since so long. She is a swimming champion. She's a singer, dancer, corporate trainer, and a pranic healer. And top of that, she's a mother of 2 kids. So we have with us 2 friends. We are discussing about the cancer disease. Mondrita, I want you to
Hello.
introduce yourself.
Namaste, everybody. Good morning, everybody. So I am Mondrita Sengupta Das. I am a psychologist, a counselor, a psychotherapist. I am a soft skills trainer, and I am a pranic healer. I am a trainer from World Pranic Healing School, Manila, and I also conduct, healing programs. So that is just a brief about me. Apart from that, I've been a national swimmer. I've been a world record holder mountaineer. I'm a national award winner author. And my passion is interior designing. I've done a lot of professional interior designs. I'm a global dancer, Indian traditional dance, of course. Just a little about me. That's it.
So Dr. Deepa, tell us something about yourself.
Dr. Deepa Nair. I'm a head and neck surgeon from Tata Memorial Hospital. My basic training is I'm an MS ENT from KEM Hospital, AGS Medical College, Mumbai. And after that, I did my fellowship at Tata Memorial Hospital, where I'm a consultant since the last 11 years. And teaching and treating head neck cancers and teaching about them to my residents and students is one of the things which is a part of my daily activity. Personally, I have 2 beautiful daughters, and I'm not as accomplished as Mrs. Sengupta, but it's my pleasure to be here.
So I welcome both of you. Such a wonderful platform it is, and we are discussing on the topic which is related to all of us. Dr. Deepa, kindly tell us that every day you deal with different cases. Which is the typical one which you have dealt with it recently or in the past?
So I'm a head and neck cancer surgeon. So that means I deal with cancers which arise from the head and neck area. That's mainly mouth cancers, throat cancers, cancers of the nose, the ear, thyroid cancers, cancers from the glands like parotid, that is a salivary gland cancers. But the most common cancer which I see and treat is oral cancers, cancers of the mouth. And unfortunately, I think India is one of the leaders in mouth cancers. So that is my typical day, which I will see cancers of the mouth. And most of the patients which we see and evaluate are male patients. There are around 20-25% female patients. And importantly, that most of the cancers which we treat in head and neck will be related to some sort of tobacco or alcohol usage.
My question is from Mondrita, that you are a swimming champion. You have gone through different trainings. So how come you have detected this cancer? Like how doctors told you that there is a problem, or you went to the checkup?
Right. About 4 years back, I thought that, as we are aging, we should go for regular annual checkups. That is what triggered me to go for a general health checkup. And when I went for this health checkup, I was diagnosed 3rd stage cancer. And they had diagnosed 4 tumors. They said that the lymph node was in axilla area, which is the armpit area, and it spread across the front part of the body. And they said it is critical in condition, we have to go for immediate surgery. So I had no option. This was in Bombay. So I had no option. I told them my children are studying in Dehradun. So I said, I just need to meet them for a day and then I'll come back. So, and then once I was admitted, the oncologist, Dr. Vijay Haribhakti in Harkisan Das Reliance Foundation Hospital, he was actually horrified to see those 4 tumors. In fact, there were 5 tumors which was uh, he said about 7 to 9 centimeters, and he had to chop them into small pieces and take them out. And there were innumerous small tumors. So the first surgery that happened, it took very long time, and they could only remove those 5 big tumors. And then 7 days later, I had another surgery in which another 21 tumors were removed from my body. And it seems that in the operation theater, he had told his assistants that there is no chance of survival. But here comes God's grace, that God had prepared me to face this day. That is why he took me through life trainings of swimming, mountaineering, and healing and everything, to build my willpower, my positivity. Played a very good role, because I'm a single parent. I lost my husband about 15 years back in a car accident, and in that same accident, I was semi-paralyzed. So that time also I had faced death, but I came out of it with just the positive feeling that there's nobody to take care of my children, and my children were just 1 year and 3 years old. So this time the same thing happened, and I said, no, I have to get well no matter what. So the second surgery happened, and then 21 tumors were removed. And then I went through intense chemotherapy for several months. And once that got over, I was like, out of it. Of course, one contributory factor which my oncologist said was that if you were not into pranic healing, nobody would be able to save you. Because what happened was, I'll just give you an example. The moment my healers came to know that I'm going through cancer, they formed a WhatsApp group, all around the world. And then they kept me in healing. It is basically energy healing, with cosmic healing energies. So they kept me in healing 24 hours around the clock. 1 hour somebody from Canada, next hour somebody from India, third hour somebody from Australia. So they kept on giving me healing. And before the second surgery, there was one healer who had come from Kerala to Bombay, and he stayed with me only for the weekend in the hospital. And he said, Mondrita, I'll just do one thing for you. I'll bring all these 21 tumors, which are all spread across, I'll bring them together. So it is no touch, no drug therapy, where with healing, he brought, I don't know how, but he brought them together. I mean, it's actually unbelievable. So second time when the surgeon, did the surgery, he's called the father of cancer in US, Dr. Vijay Haribhakti. So he was actually shocked to see all the tumors close to each other. So the first surgery, which took around 10 hours almost, the second surgery, though he removed 21 tumors, it took just 5.5 hours. So that was a miracle. And he said that it was only pranic healing that could, bring you up with strength, with power, with everything, and you are fit and fine. Today, I'm completely cancer free. So that is what.
So Dr. Deepa, I wanted to ask you that we go for swimming, we go for so many different kind of plays. So people say that if you play, these things will not come, or like your cells will regenerate and it will come on its own. So how does this help? Like how much you're active and why these things will come to you as a disease or ailments?
Basically, regular exercise just helps in keeping your body fit and has improves your immunity. So obviously, if you are going now, it's not that exercise prevents cancer, but generally it will keep you fit in the best of health. Now we know that obesity, especially for something like a breast cancer, obesity is one of the important causes. Urbanization, changed lifestyle, and obesity is a cause of such maybe a related factor in such cancers, especially like breast cancer, which is the most common cancer in women in urban India today. So obviously, if you have a better lifestyle, you have a healthy lifestyle, you're exercising, you're fitter, then the chance of cancer is less. And even if you do develop cancer, your body heals much better because your body is much more fit and fine. So I think exercise is very important in our lives, not just when you're healthy, but also when you're unwell. So in fact, in Tata Hospital, we have a program where we teach the cancer survivors, especially breast cancer survivors, different types of exercises. And we've run a trial, the results of which are being analyzed, is how to incorporate yoga into the regular exercises and see how that really helps with the healing. or treatment of breast cancer. So it won't cure the breast cancer, but it helps better recovery.
If I may just add a little, as a healer, we study. In fact, it's our school is based on quantum mechanics, quantum physics. So it is a very logical school where we study energy science and how things happen. And being a psychologist, it has given me a better understanding of what happens. Psychology says 95% of the diseases that we have are psychosomatic. That is because every cell of our body has the capacity to store 8 GB of energy. Now, we can't see love, hate, anger, jealousy, but we believe in it because we feel it. Physics in the last 100 years, quantum physics has discovered what we have studied in school is there are 3 states of matter: solid, liquid, gas. If you heat gas, it changes its form into fire. Fire is not gas, it's not liquid, it's not solid. It's burning gas. That is called, scientifically, it's called plasma. Plasma body, that's a scientific name. So we also just like we have a physical body, we also have a plasma body, which is called the bioplasmic body. In the Indian yoga system, it's called aura. And this, if you shoot with 2 cameras, Kirlian camera and GDV camera, which scientists use, you can actually see the aura. In the aura, our emotions, our thoughts keep floating, and they have different colors. For example, jealousy has, anger has muddy red color. Jealousy has brown color. Hatred is gray in color. So what happens is 8 GB of trauma, one cell is occupied by that energy of trauma. 8 GB of stress, another cell is occupied. So in this way, those start occupying the cells, and when it starts that negative energy starts occupying, it destroys the positive energy around. So the capacity of the body to heal gradually starts diminishing because it's getting filled up with negative energy. So basically what I have understood is, cancer, which people have not yet found the real cause, it is related to different kinds of energies, stresses, trauma. For example, just as you said, oral, you were doing. What struck me instantly, physical, we Pranic Healing School and medical science, we work complementary, hand in hand, because there is a understanding happening to the physical body and what is happening to the bioplasmic body. Both are working together. So you said men are more into it. One is, yes, tobacco and the addictions that they have. Alcohol is the physical cause. Another third cause, I would say, what instantly I understood was, you will see men are not able to speak out. Even if they go through a lot of stress, even if they go through a lot of anxiety at home or in work, they keep that in their self. So all those negative energies get stored in the jaw area. Because when we do healing, the moment we start removing those toxic energies, we realize that it gets stored. And what happens is, when energy is getting, denser and denser, the protons, atoms, neutrons are getting dense and dense. Finally, the density becomes such that it becomes a solid. And when it becomes a solid, it forms a tumor. So what happens is, breast cancer, for example, I'll just give you, if you interview people who are going through breast cancer, you will see that they have had nurturing problem with, parental problem, or problem when they grew up in their childhood. So those breast is basically, psychology says, it is mother's love. It is the love aspect, care, compassion. So if they are lacking in love, compassion, or somewhere it goes wrong, you will see that the breast, so every part of the body is affected by some emotion or the other. And then when it crystallizes, I mean, I'm sorry, it is, it's a different kind of explanation, but that is what, how we heal. And that's how, working with medical science, because medical science heals the physical body, and we heal the emotions and thoughts and detoxify the body. So the body starts healing better, and it's easier for the doctor to, do the healing of the physical body.
Dr. Deepa, what is your thought on this alternative therapies?
So I've grown up and I've trained in the allopathic field of medicine, and honestly, I do not put a lot of weightage to complementary therapy. We don't call it alternative therapy anymore. That alternative therapy means it's that you cut out allopathic completely. I don't
Yes.
think for most things you can cut out allopathic therapy. You can add such things as a complement if you wish to, but for cancer, at least the initial treatment has to be allopathic. I don't think there's an alternative to it. So it can be, you can do other things complementary, but what I would suggest to people is that if you're doing any complementary therapy, please inform your treating oncologist, because any complementary therapy, especially Ayurvedic or homeopathic, may cross react with the medicines which the doctors are giving.
What I'm saying is like, the complementary therapy of pranic healing is, it is no drug, no touch therapy. That is why it works very well with medical science, because there's no drug given in it, there is no touch, there is no surgery, nothing like that.
Are the cancers different in men and women, like Deepa ji?
So obviously there are some differences in males and females in terms of the cancer. Like a lot of it will be also due to the body structure. A lot of it will be due to habits. Like in India, the top two cancers in males are oral cancer and lung cancer, which are mainly tobacco related. Whereas in women, it is breast cancer and cervical cancer, which is again cannot happen in males because of the sheer anatomy. So these are the differences. But if, like you talk about cancers of oral cavity, which happens both in males and females, though it's seen less in females, the disease per se is not very different. They behave practically similar, especially if the patient has underlying tobacco habit. So it depends on the site of cancer, the type of cancer. Cancer itself may not be different, but the reason why the cancer has happened or the site where the cancer happens determines how it behaves.
So as a doctor, when you see such cases, what is your mental state?
So it is actually, it leaves me with a lot of, what do I say, sadness when we see patients who are advanced. Uh, Now, I mean, typically now in the lockdown period, we've seen a lot of patients have been delaying coming to the hospitals or delaying treatment for cancer because they're scared of COVID. Now, what happens is cancer has very small timelines. If you delay the process too much, a stage 1 cancer may end up becoming a stage 4 cancer, and the outcomes then is not the same. So it's very disheartening to see young people, for the fear of cancer or just neglecting themselves and coming with advanced disease. But also at the other time, we have patients who have survived treatment and who are cured, or and they're healthy. They may not have the same physical form. There may be some deformity because of the treatment. But if they're healthy, they're eating, they're speaking, and the cancer is controlled, it gives us immense pleasure to see those patients back. So it works both ways.
Staying in that environment with so many patients, it is sometimes depressing also for you.
It does, but then we cannot let it affect us too much. I think doctors develop some sort of a barrier to keep ourselves sane. If I start getting emotionally affected by every patient, I will not be able to give them impartial and treatment what they require. We have to keep ourselves slightly emotionally disconnected so that we can treat them. It appears sometimes that we may come across as rude or uncaring, but it's sort of a defensive mechanism for doctors. But I am not saying that rudeness is allowed, rudeness is not accepted. But yeah, we can't break down and cry when we see every patient, because then that actually works counterproductive for the patients as well.
Mandrita, what advice you want to give to your friends who are going through such situations?
I think the most important thing is to not to lose hope, because I believe these are all life tests. No matter what you face, whether it is a physical disease or a mental challenge or an emotional challenge, these are all tests of life. So if we are positive, and if we have the will to live and the will to get cured and be healed, I think, half the job is done. You are actually helping your doctor, your healer. It becomes easy for them to, do their job, and you will get healed very soon. Because when I studied counseling and psychotherapy, I studied in Christian Medical College, Vellore. So we used to have, we used to do these healings and psychotherapy on patients who would have open heart surgery and different critical ailments in the hospital. So then we saw that when we would counsel them and when we would make them feel positive, they would get healed so fast. They would just, even if they were supposed to stay in the hospital for 1 month, maybe in 2 weeks, they would get discharged because they would start getting healed very soon. So that is very, very important to feel positive. And another thing I would like to mention is, I've seen the family of patients, such patients. They say that, we are having a lot of stress, tension, and depression, but we don't say this in front of the patient. Now, the thing is that we feel that we are not expressing it in front of the patient. But you see, suppose you are sitting here and your child, your son or daughter is in US, still be able to feel your love as a mother, because energies do not need any medium to flow. That is why we can see lightning, which is light energy, thousands of miles away. We can hear thunder from thousands of miles away without any medium. Similarly, all our emotions, our thoughts get transmitted without any medium because it is energy. So we think that even if I'm depressed, the patient is not getting affected, but actually that energy up on the patient, and unknowingly the patient also starts feeling depressed. So it is very important for the family members to motivate and they themselves feel positive and hopeful. These are the two things that I would like to tell to the patients and their family members.
I completely agree with Mrs. Sengupta. It's our experience as well that for patients who are positive and who have the willpower that, or the mental makeup that I will get through this and I'm going to be fine, tend to feel better. They go, like she said, discharged from the hospital, the body heals itself much better. So positivity is important. And that's what we also try to emphasize, that yes, you cannot dwell on the fact that you have cancer. It's unfortunate that you have developed cancer, but let's look forward. Let's take the next step and try and get you better.
So, Dr. Deepa, what precautions one must take to not to be in such situation?
There's no foolproof method to avoid cancer, but just sensible living, good food habits, good healthy lifestyle, sleeping adequately, getting adequate exercise, avoiding obviously tobacco, alcohol as far as possible, and having positive framework. I think these are the things which you can do. Live a healthy lifestyle, and that actually is seen that if you are generally a healthy person with healthy habits, avoid tobacco, alcohol, keep your weight in check. That's one of the methods to prevent cancer as far as possible.
Advice you want to give to our friends?
In this regard, I would say, as Dr. Deepa said, it's very true that healthy lifestyle and whatever she said, in the physical life, it is very, very important. At the same time, another thing that as a healer and a counselor and psychologist, what I would suggest is when you go through shocks, trauma, stress, which everybody goes through, do not suppress that and keep it in your mind. I'll just give you one example. When my children were studying in boarding school, when they were very small, 4 years, 6 years old, you know how I taught, because I have experienced it, I've learned it. So I had told them that whenever you're feeling angry or you're feeling stressed or you're feeling hurt, what you do, you make a big tree your friend, and you go there and you share it with the tree. So you tell that tree that, look, this is what I'm feeling. So you're basically not storing that energy within your body. The more these negative emotions, these memories we store in our body, the more our body gets toxic. And when you grow up, maybe you do not make your tree, you can, of course, but at least one thing that we suggest to our clients and our patients is to write it down in a piece of paper. If you're going through a lot of stress, write stress, trauma, whatever, write those down in a piece of paper, burn it, because fire is the energy which burns all negative energies. Burn it and flush it in your WC. So once you have flushed it, burnt it, you have released that energy. So physically, with the physical, lifestyle, healthy lifestyle, if emotionally, if you keep yourself well by positive thoughts, by positive emotions, not allowing the negative thoughts and negative emotions to, hamper your body, then of course, it's a prevention, I would say, to such things.
Yes, as a doctor, Dr. Deepa, what last advice you want to give? to our friends?
So be happy, be well, and even if you have cancer, don't worry about it. It's something that you can overcome, and it's not your fault that you have developed cancer. It just happens. So don't dwell on the fact. Look positively. There are doctors to help you. There are a lot of therapies to help you, and life is good generally. So if you take that positively, you can do well in life.
Thank you, Dr. Deepa, Mrs. Sen Gupta. It is a
Thank you very
wonderful
much.
session, and many women will inspire through this. So thanks a lot for such a nice talk.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Aparna ji.
Thank you.